Thank you, Mike Storm, for being here today. The campaign season is a busy time, and we appreciate you taking the time out of your day to be interviewed and to participate in our upcoming town hall forum at the Warren Place venue, July 30th, 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. As our team met, the theme kept coming up that many people in our Johnson County communities are hungry for more information about their candidates and where they stand on issues important to them. They're asking for an opportunity to ask questions straight from the candidates and receive the truthful answers. We put together a list of the common questions being asked and submitted to assist the community with having a much better understanding, in this case, of their 6th district commissioners. Before we begin, I want to state that candidate Mike was not provided a question prior to this interview. All candidates are being asked the same questions. The answers to these interview questions will not be edited. Viewers can be assured that the answers given by Mike to the questions in this podcast are unaltered. So without further ado, let's get to know today's candidate, Mike. So Mike, what keeps you here in Johnson County, and specifically this 6th district of Johnson County?
I've been here my whole life practically, with the exception of leaving to go to a Christian academy for 4 years and serving in the United States Navy. I've been in Johnson County my whole life. Okay. So I have friends and family here, and I have no intentions of leaving anytime soon.
Is that what keeps you here?
Keeps me here is the schools, the infrastructure that we have, the ability to just be yourself. My kids enjoy it. We live in the country. We have 20 acres, and we enjoy being able to just do the fishing and run around on ATVs and just be ourselves. So just, this is friends and family. This is home, so it means a lot to me.
Okay, and then when you're not running for the 6th district seat, what do you do during the day?
Me and my wife have a couple small businesses, and we have 3 daughters. It keep us very, very busy. And then, like I said, 20 acres.
Okay.
A lot of maintenance goes on.
What are those businesses?
I'm not going to be specific about names because just for reasons of privacy. But we have a business. We used to own the Studio School of Dance in Olathe, and we have currently we have a business that's out of town, and we have a business here in town that is a management company.
Okay, how do you feel running those businesses has prepared you for running for the 6th district?
The businesses that we've owned in the past. I owned a franchise carpet cleaning company. I've worked for many businesses in town that are logistics and orientation, and the businesses we're in now are a lot more demanding, as far as, or used to be more demanding in time. But we have got good people in place now that run them for us.
Who is your greatest role model and why?
Well, my mother, she struggled a lot when she was single and raising kids, and my dad had left, and so I just don't, yeah. She was my role model.
Did she have a part in helping you be inspired to run for commissioner, or just somebody else, or?
My mom was a firm believer in let somebody else do it.
Okay.
Do it yourself on the things that you can control, and let someone else take care of the things you can't control.
Okay. So were you just inspired by yourself? What made you want to run?
Couldn't stand what was going on with our community, as far as the taxes are out of control. Things just seem to be put in place at random just you sit and talk to people in our community that tell you that their taxes are out of control, but not only that, now they're coming after their land. They want to take and build things next to it that they don't like, and they're seniors. I have a mother-in-law that lives on my property in a house we have purchased, and she is struggling to make ends meet because of the taxes on her Social Security and everything else. And then, of course, she's, hearing from her friends how they're having to move away because they can't afford to live in Johnson County any longer, and that's unfortunate.
Okay. Is that one of your main platforms, or what are
It is.
What are your three main platforms?
I have 4 of them, and I brought my palm card with me to. I'll leave with you when I leave. It's about transparency. I think that we should, as county commissioners, any elected official, we should be honestly out there and being honest with our people, and not tell people we're coming to see them once a month. We should be there anytime they need us. I've heard some county commissioners say, well, I meet with the leaders of their area, but what about the town? When do you come and visit? When do you come and shop? When do you do a town hall? Just say hi to everybody and say, hey, this is the status of what's going on in our community. We don't have that. We have youth. One of the gentlemen that's running against me is very young, very bright, but he has no experience in life. And this is my town. This is where I'm from. And I don't want to see my friends, family, run off their property, taxed off their property. I don't want to see it change. We moved out here for a reason. We move out and live in the country because we want to, lack of a better way of saying it, we don't like neighbors. We want our own space. And some people like the city, and that's just fine. But the people who live out in the country, they do it for a reason. They have animals and play with ATVs or whatever they do, ride horses, and they just don't want to be bothered.
Do you have any other main issues that is
I
part of your platform?
I have financial stewardship is a big one with me. I think that we should be, when it's, there's a movie out there with Danny DeVito in it that reminds me of it, OPM, other people's money. We should be always conscious of how we deal with people's money. We should make sure that they know what we're doing. I'm running for this seat because I believe that it should be turned back to the people. It shouldn't be my seat, Commissioner Allenbrand's seat, anybody's seat. It's the 6th district seat, and those people should have a say on the way it goes, whether it's the way I agree with it or not. And I think that this community formed me and my opinions, and so I'm all for it. I'm in deep. Accountability, same thing. These people should stand in front of people and look them in the eye and say, this is why I'm doing it. This is why we made this decision to raise taxes, which I'm firmly against. And there's the public safety issues that the sheriff is dealing with right now with fentanyl coming in town. I think that I agree with him that we should keep it at the border, stop it there before it gets in Kansas. When it's here, it's too late. So those are my issues, pretty much.
How do you plan on holding yourself accountable to your constituents if you're elected?
Opening the doors, whatever it takes. I think that we, at the county commissioner's office right now, they have, they should live stream every event. They should take as long as it takes to listen to whoever's up at the mic. It should be wide open. That's what it's for. That's what they're there for. You're a leader. you should be listening to who you're leading, and then make the adjustment then.
Okay, so when it comes to voices, if there's conflicting voices between the county, like the county staff and managers, and the constituents, who do you think's voice matters more?
People's.
Why?
The constituents always, because they're the ones that are putting you there to represent them, and then how you're the buffer between them and government. And if you don't sit there and you don't defend them, and you're just a rubber stamp, then what good is this? We're just wasting our time.
Okay, so then how do you feel about now with the new commission that the public comment portion of the commission meetings is no longer aired online?
Totally against that.
Why?
Again, people should have a right to have a say. I don't care if I don't like what you're saying. That's just too bad. You know, you have a right to say it.
Okay.
We're
And-
representatives, right?
Yeah.
That's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to represent you. And if I don't like, if we have different takes on it, we'd just let everybody air it out and then make a decision and go on.
Okay. So you mentioned earlier about living in the country, being away from the city. How important do you believe the unincorporated community is in the upcoming years for the county? And where do you see it? Where do you see that part of the county in the next 5-10 years?
Wow. Good question. I've been here since '77, full time, pretty much, with the exception of leaving for the Navy. And over the years, I've watched this town, Gardner, DeSoto, Edgerton's blown up. I've watched Olathe change from having gravel roads down Ridgeview, north of right there at 119th Street. The horse pastures that were there where Target is, the movie theater where Jefferson Place Apartments is. I've watched all this change. Not a big fan of it. I know it's inevitable, but I don't think that we need to just keep sprawling out. I think we should. There's other ways of doing it, and the country is for all intents and purposes is for all of us. Kids can't. You'll never know the difference if you grow up on concrete. So, time to get dirty, right? But the county is going to grow, and it is an inevitable thing that eventually Gardner and Olathe will touch. I remember when Olathe put a 4x8 sign up on 56 Highway back in 1979 or so, that they just hit 25,000 people, and they were so excited about it. It was a big thing, huge. And we just keep, I think that it's great that people come to our county and get a chance to see what we have created, and I think it takes both sides to make it happen. But as far as the county and its growth, just hang on.
Well, the 6th district, speaking of rural, the 6th district is the home of the Johnson County Fair every year, and it's coming up in a couple weeks, specifically in downtown Gardner at the fairgrounds.
Yep.
How important is the fair to you?
It means world.
Personally? Okay.
It means world. You get the chance to, and not as a candidate necessarily, but you get to go out and meet people and see the different things that they're offering. I love the sheep and I love the chickens. I mean, my kids, when we took them there as babies, that was a big thing for them. Never
Why
seen,
the
because they
sheep
never
and
seen a
the
rabbit.
chickens?
They never seen them.
Oh, okay.
So we had to get them.
Why the sheep and the chickens, though, of all the animals?
I don't know. My oldest daughter was a big horse lover, but not too many of them around except different events, parades and stuff like that. And chickens and rabbits and things are smaller, so they can fit in and it's just one of the things.
And now for the community, why do you believe that the fair is still important to the community?
It gives an opportunity for the rest of Johnson County to come out and enjoy the country life, to see what the other side lives like. The slower pace, the dirt on your car, Johnson County as a whole does not see very many dirt roads and gravel. They don't see very many animals. They just get a chance to interact with people that are different from them. And that's how, in my opinion, that's how we learn. If you get a chance to be around somebody that's a country guy versus a mechanic or a Wall Street type, I don't know, executive type, I guess I should have said. It gives you a chance to just intermingle. Get a chance, you learn from people and see, maybe even decide that that's what you want to do. Just move out of the city and move into the country. And that's what we're experiencing.
Yeah. So then where do you see the future of the fair?
I hope it stays right where it is.
Why?
I hope maybe it gets a little bigger.
Oh, okay.
I really do. I think I read so much in different articles that kids in the inner city go to the country. How far is that going to be in 25 years?
So then in that case, would you support funding from the county for the fair?
Absolutely.
Why?
Because it is just as important to us in our community in the 6th District as it is to the rest of Johnson County, and they realize it too. It's just as important as the library. You come here to learn in the library, you go there to learn. You learn about animals, you can learn from a lady teaching you how to quilt, a gentleman teaching you how to take a chainsaw and cut a log up, make a creature or whatever. You can learn a lot, and all these things are important. Don't want to lose them.
Okay. Well, speaking of important, in recent years, there's been a lot of hot topic items within our district involving warehouse development and logistics centers, industrial solar farms. What is your opinion on those developments?
Not a fan. I am a fan of technology. I think it serves a purpose. Controlled and concise, yes. If you have something and you've worked the bugs out, and I was reading. I'm an avid reader. We are having a problem with the wind farms, the turbines specifically, flaking fiberglass off and getting into the air, causing problems for animals, and now it's getting into our food supply because it's getting into the soil. So I'm not a big fan of technology when you don't have control over it. And that's what I feel like the solar and wind that we're doing right now it's a little out of control.
Okay. Because we have the Next Era Energy's West Gardner solar project. And at the time, it was originally reported by the Lawrence Journal World that in August of 21, the project, if approved, would take approximately 3,000 acres of agriculturally zoned land out of production along the County Line Road through the process of county commissioners approving the conditional use permits for that. It would allow ag land to be changed to industrial for the project for 25 years. This has caused great concern for the rural communities in Johnson County, environmental concerns, like you mentioned, and quality of life and property, especially for unincorporated McCamish, Lexington townships. What are your views on the climate change, renewable energy?
Wow, a lot in that.
Yeah.
It was brought to my attention recently, knocking doors, that there were some major concerns about how the infrastructure can hold up to everything that we're doing in Johnson County. It's not holding up very well. They're wanting to widen roads. But like I said earlier, I think the people need to, they need to come together and they need to figure out. I was asked by, I'm not going to name names, what I thought about wind and solar and how it's affecting the rural population. And if in that, the people that buy the land are able to use the land as they see fit. Meaning a corporation can come out here and buy the land because they have the money and do whatever they want. The answer is no. I don't believe that. I believe that if you're coming out to buy the land, you should know your community. A lot of the community doesn't want that. They've voiced their opinions on that, and they were overridden. And I wouldn't do that. Never.
If they did want it, do you think there's a responsible way to have these type of facilities?
Yeah, well, there should be an open conversation about it. Bring it to everyone's attention. Give everyone ample time to do their due diligence, to figure out what fits their needs best. There's people that have taken advantage of selling their land, and that's their right. But I think that you wouldn't want a multifamily house or apartment complex built next to your house that you own, your little plot of land, because when you bring a group that size and you end up with, well, for one, noise complaints all the time. You're going to end up with theft usually. Some of the things I've read that Johnson County's experienced with these multifamily houses, I'm just calling that for sake of argument. It's just gone downhill, and I personally, I have where my 20 acres are, I wouldn't want a apartment complex built right next to it. It drives the property value down, in my opinion, because no one wants to live there.
Okay. Well, speaking of the next major development that's happening in Johnson County that everyone's been talking about is the Panasonic that is coming in on the old Sunflower Army ammunition plant outside DeSoto. In February of 22, Governor Kelly signed the bipartisan Attracting Powerful Economic Expansion Act that brought it to DeSoto. That act has incentives to Panasonic, a $500 million investment tax credit, which will be 12.5% over 5 years, a $234 million payroll rebate paid over 10 years, $5 million for education and training per year over 5 years, a relocation investment of $1 million per year over 10 years, and $60.2 million sales tax exemption over 5 years. As a result of Panasonic coming to the DeSoto area, it's seeing fast-paced, massive changes being made to their infrastructure, land use, housing. And one development that has not been overly publicized yet by the county is Johnson County hiring a consultant for an estimated $250,000 to guide a study to identify and recommend updates for an arterial roadway network to support the Panasonic plant. The Astra Enterprise Logistics Park. So this connection plan for the Southwest Metro Area study will result in recommended changes to some of the county and unincorporated roads, not just DeSoto, but neighboring communities. it's needed to support the upcoming KDOT Regional Outer Loop Region Connection Highway Project, and it has not been officially announced to the public. The highway project will be 15 miles long, and it will connect K10 to 56 Highway, jog east into the intermodal North Point KC Logistics Park out in Edgerton. And from the little we know, it appears it will take 1 mile west to east swath of land from the County Line Road to Evening Star Road. And it appears it will also include the I-35 interchange south of 56 Highway. So residents are starting to slowly understand the project and how they will be impacted, the residents that are aware of it. They've appeared at meetings at the commission starting back in February. They've requested representation for Johnson and Douglas counties. Their request was denied. So what are your views on the incorporated townships that are going to be affected by this and how they should be represented with the commission?
I'll say it looking through a glass. It's easy to look back in time and say this, what I'm going to say, but we got it wrong. We should have never done this without a deep dive into the community and asking questions. It should not have been a knee-jerk reaction to do this. We're finding out now that the battery plant, for rumor, may only build one battery, and that's all it has to do in order to fulfill all this. And that is it's confusing. It may be just a rumor and not be true, but if it were true, and we spent all this money for one battery to be produced, how do we look? How do we look from the commissioner's standpoint? How do we look from a governmental standpoint from our governor? It was a money grab. I think it's all it is, and I'm not a fan. I'm not going to say much more than that, because without knowing all the details, it's really hard to say the decisions that were made when they made them, how much of the information they got was truthful, community engaged, just don't know how else to answer it, because I'm looking back in time.
Okay, well, the other
Okay.
big issue that people are talking about over here is the C Nano warehouse out at the logistics park out on the other side of New Century Airport. In June of last year, 330,000 square feet of the facility was purchased out there. C Nano is registered as a foreign entity, and it was reported by outside local and national news that they are a wholly owned subsidiary of C Nano Technology Company Limited. It's an entity of China-based C Nano Jiangsu Technology. Their parent company is involved with the Chinese government's 863 program. It supports the development of Chinese military. The U.S. government has accused the 863 program of working to steal our technology here in the U.S. And according to the U.S. Director of National Intelligence, it provides funding and guidance for efforts to clandestinely acquire U.S. tech and sensitive economic information. So in June of 23, citizens asked the county commission to wait before voting on the resolution in regards to issuing the IRBs for C Nano that were up to $34,150,000. They wanted to know more about who the out-of-state company was. They wanted to know more about the materials that were going to be manufactured close to New Century Airport. New Century is also home to the Joint Civil Military Airport, so citizens had concerns about the manufacturing happening so close to our airport facilities and neighboring Olathe and Gardner populations that are growing and increasingly getting closer to New Century Airport. So the request to table the vote was denied. Chairman Mike Kelly and other commissioners, with the exception of 3rd District Charlotte O'Hara, voted to approve authorizing those IRBs to finance the construction. They also approved a tax abatement on the construction and the land for 10 years. How do you feel about CNANO, the IRBs, and the tax abatements given to them?
Well, I'm not a big fan of tax abatements unless they work in the favor of the community. That's that. Chris Kobach has announced that they are working with the House, Kansas House, to put a stop to these companies coming in and buying Kansas land within, I believe it's 150 miles of any military installation, which if you mapped it out would be just about every piece of property in Kansas, because that's 150 miles square around each one of these military bases. So that would put an end to these outside entities coming in and the fears of the people they wouldn't be getting too close to us. So I'm not a fan of all the IRBs. I'm not a fan of any of that. It seemed like there was no thought put into this. It was just a money grab for somebody, and they took advantage of, someone's a lot smarter got it over on the commissioners on that one. That's just my opinion on that.
Do you think that's why they agreed to let them, as you said, it was a money grab?
I think there's whenever you're on the losing end of a deal, yeah, that's a money grab. I don't think there's enough thought put into it. And why do we give away everything? Pardon the expression, being out in the country, but why do we give away the farm? And then that's what we did.
Is there anything different you would like to see the space used for?
You were talking earlier about the fact that we're going to be, over the next 20 years, how Johnson County is going to change. Why not take the wait and see approach? Why does it have to be right now? One thing I don't like is generational politics. I don't like, we'll do it next time. We'll get them next time, or we'll do this next time. And then in this regard, they want to do it all now. They want it as fast as they can get it. They want all these things, no matter what the cost is, they just want them. And we're just doing things to be doing them. So it's the way it comes across. And I'm not one of those people. I'm more of a slow-paced guy. I'm too old to be in politics, but I don't want to see the place that I love lost. And I think that if we grow too fast, we lose who we are.
Okay. Well,
as a community.
Speaking of growing fast, there's been housing, a big boom in housing, and you touched on it earlier about the multi-tenant housing projects that have sprouted up on the 6th District end of the county. Do you believe these developers should receive IRBs for these projects, or property tax abatements? You kind of gave us your answer about that earlier. Why or why not?
Well, I think that's, like I said a while ago, it's sad that somebody works as hard as people do. There were blue collar, mostly Johnson County in this area, and it's hard to believe that we worked that hard to give it away, and then to have a multifamily house, and in my opinion, it's just more votes per square foot, right? So Johnson County as a whole, it's packed by Overland Park standards. Is packed. We know that they have more votes per square foot because they have more apartments. And in Johnson County, in the 6th District, it's wide open. And if they can put as many apartments as they have in Overland Park in here, they can get the votes they want to change it. I'm going to say something controversial. in this, that I think that the 6th district probably should be divided into another district, have 2 districts out of it. And in that, we do away with the chairman's seat on the county commission. Now, I don't know why that we need a king to sit up there and tell the other 6 what to do, which way we're going to go, how we're going to do it. You know, it's one of these things that, like Cedar Creek, for instance, one of the candidates has voted to put in their capacity as a planning commissioner, has put in a multifamily development near Cedar Creek. Those people paid for their houses. They wanted their way of life, and I doubt very seriously if you want to pay the amount of money they pay for their houses to have an apartment complex shoved right up next to it. And likewise, I don't believe that people in DeSoto that paid for the land that they have wanted to never looked down the road far enough to see a battery plant being built right next to them. And the fact that all the traffic and there's just so many things. I don't have enough time to talk here. I'd be happy to answer anybody's questions. They can reach me on my website. They can reach me on my phone. It's all listed at the Johnson County Election Office. But I'd be happy to entertain anybody to dive deeper into this subject, as well as a few others that I just hit the top of. But mostly just because I want to see strong development that lasts for a long time, not just a warehouse that's plugged in out here in Edgerton. 10 years, the people say, oh, we don't want to pay that, we don't want to start paying taxes on it. So they just up and leave. Now we got a warehouse. What are we going to do with it? It's not like it's not a building we can put apart, you know, make an old folks home, which I'll probably be using in some time in the future. I'm just saying that if you're going to build something, build it that has multiple uses. We have a building that's a New Century. It's been sitting there for a long time abandoned. It costs the taxpayers $1.2 million every year. That's this New Century building. That used to be the North Supply building, or whatever you want to call it. I've heard rumors that they're willing to, after all these years of paying that $1.2 million a year to keep it up, that they want to tear it down for $9 million. And it's for sale for $12 million. Seems to me to be smarter just to sell it for $3 million and not have to deal with, and you start getting taxed immediately. I think that you shouldn't have, if you and I went out to buy something, you had to pay for it. You don't get someone and say, hey, you don't have to pay for it this year. We'll just keep it for a couple years, and then when it's run down, say it's a car and it's run down in 3 years, what are you going to do? You're going to keep paying on it? Or are you going to say, you know what? I agree with you. I don't want the car back. You can have it. So that's what I feel like we're doing in Johnson County. We're just building things to be building them. There's no thought put into them. And until we figure out with some adults at the table at Johnson County Board of Commissioners, we're going to keep doing this. It's just going to keep being a cycle.
Okay. Well, speaking of spending, the county's budget and spending continues to increase. How do you feel about that?
Not a fan. I've been looking through it and trying to figure out. I'm not used to seeing that many zeros, as well as I'm sure you're not either, on any kind of budget at my house. Even in my businesses, we don't see those kind of zeros on things. I think that a lot of times, and this is probably going to be tough and controversial as well, but I think that we have bloated paychecks in the upper end. It's not when we authorize people to get salary increases, it's the top that takes it, and then whatever's left over is given back to the underlings. And I for one am not a fan of that either. The school board, I was running. I'll say it now, in case you heard it last year. I ran for Johnson County Board of Trustees for the junior college, and we had the same problems there. The money was given, the upper got all the money, and the professors got nothing, and the students were paying more. It didn't make sense. We started programs that, again, are controversial. DEI, we paid $500,000 for that to happen, to start the DEI program. All around the United States, they're abandoning DEI. Every college, most businesses, they're just abandoning it. And if we want to be on the forefront, that I keep hearing everyone say, why are we always behind? Why is everybody else had got on it and got off of it, and we're still just getting into it? So.
Okay, well, speaking of all the spending, how do you think the county can use their money more efficiently? Where could they cut the spending within the county?
And I think for property tax, we hold true to a 3% increase and no more for property tax every year, instead of getting random, hey, it's going to be, you're going to get $200 more a month, you're going to start having to pay. Or for my tax, I'm going to be just completely honest, we pay about $30,000 a year for both my properties that I live on, which is outrageous, and it just keeps increasing. I'm hearing that over the next 5 years there's going to be a 19% increase in our property taxes, and I don't see where that's beneficial for anybody. They're going to tax me off my property, or that's the goal, and I don't see people like my nephew that just got married. I don't see them being able to sustain the amount of taxes that are coming their way, and they'll probably end up leaving town for a different town like Douglas County, go to Wellsville, or go to Lewisburg, Miami County, or that's what I'm hearing people are going. A lot of people are even shifting over to the Missouri side, Grandview area and stuff like that, Lee Summit.
Why do you think our property taxes keep going up?
Because we have people that don't understand the value of a buck. They never worked for it, or they never worked hard enough for it. They think that they come into these races and they pay, I've heard since I got into this race that I was going to have to pay somewhere between $75,000 and $125,000 to be in this race. And I'm going to prove to everybody that the race can be won, not only through the primary, but through the general, can be run or won for a hell of a lot less. A hell of a lot less.
Okay.
Because it's just, we shouldn't be buying these jobs. It shouldn't be about money to get it to win a race. We should get in here for the reasons we are sitting here talking about. This is not just talk to me. This is real. I got in this race because I used to raise hell in this family, or in this town, and all of the 6th really. I went to school in DeSoto, right across the street from where they're building the battery plant. It was called Sunflower Elementary, which has been tore down. I went to school in Gardner, from Nike Middle School all the way through high school, 10th grade in high school. I went to Lewisburg for my 2 years and graduated and came back. So when I came back, I met my wife here, raised my kids here. They are going to college here. It means a hell of a lot to me to be in this town and to be around my people. That's what I consider them.
Okay.
I'm not from Washington, D.C., like one of my candidates. I'm not from a little gated community in Olathe where I don't even head south and don't even know the direction south. So like the other candidate. So there's stark differences between all of us.
Okay. Speaking of more financial things within the county.
Of course.
A lot of people talk about the mill levy.
Mm-hmm.
Mill levy going up, mill levy going down. Do you think lowering the mill levy actually lowers taxes, or
No.
why?
because we raise our appraisals. So you raise your appraisal and you lower your mill, and you're just staying at the same. It doesn't change anything. Your taxes are still going to go up.
Okay. And speaking of the county still, how do you feel about the range of salaries for the county's employees? Are they too low, too high? Are there certain departments?
I don't think they keep pace with inflation. That's unfortunate. I think that, again, I said it earlier, there's no trickle down. I don't like that, because it's kind of like you lay some cake out here and you let the biggest guy come up there and eat it first. There's nothing left for you, and that's what happens. These fat cats sit up there and they take all the money, and then they say, hey, we're going to give you a 9% raise this year, or we're going to get 9% coming across the board. They take the higher end, they give you 2 or 3%, you're supposed to be happy with that. Disgruntled, maybe, but you're going to stay there. Why not split that? Why not even lower that and give them the money, and you take the less? You know, I don't understand. In my business, we keep pace with we try to keep pace with what's in the market, and most times we're ahead of that. I think our management team up at our businesses, they're getting better than what the market says. And so downlink is the people that are the delivery driver, or the guy that even mops the floors. They're all getting above market value.
Are there certain departments within the county you think are overstaffed or understaffed?
I'd love to get into that, but I'd have to go through it and look at it. Yeah, I believe there's an argument to be made for being people that are overstaffed, but there's definitely an argument for being understaffed too. So would we balance out? Probably, but I think the problem is we're running off all of our talent. People that are growing up here that have been here their whole lives are getting priced out. They're not being able to stay here. Coming back from college, there's not immediate job openings. I think we should raise our talent and keep our talent. Always have. I thought that when I was running last year at JCCC, and I'll say it again this year. We need to save our hometown, always.
Okay, so what sets you apart from your competitors?
Besides I'm better looking, or what?
I mean, that's what you think.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
No, but why? What sets you apart, and why should the voters vote for you?
For one, I'm not afraid to drive down any back road coming here. I know these roads. I've lived these roads. I've wrecked on these roads. I know the 6th District better than anybody in this race. I'm from here, for here. That's what I'm running on. I'm not running on some manufactured. We had a group tell us this was a winning combination if you just say these words. I've known people. My brother lives in Edgerton, Kansas. He operates a very successful business down there. I know everybody here. I want to shout out to Dolphin Song. My friends, the My Singers, own that. I went to high school grade school and high school with them. There's a lot of people I know, and that could, if the community would engage and get behind me, we could put it back the way it should be, put it back in the people's hands.
Okay. Any other reasons why they should vote for you?
No, it's up to them. I can only do what I can do. I'm running on being just clearing my throat a lot, but because I'm sick. But this means a lot to me, and I got in this race last minute, and I know that seems to be a controversy in itself, but deadlines are for a reason. That just because they open it up at this part doesn't mean you can't go the whole distance. I got in last minute because another candidate was deciding he was being strong-armed out of his position. So I got in this race last minute to save what I feel passionate about. This is my town, and I'm not letting it go just without a fight. And I think more people should have got in it if you want to be truthful.
Okay. I appreciate your time today.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for answering everyone's questions.
I tried.